So I have two disabilities. I have something called Lederho's disease, and I have something called Dupuytren's disease. They're the same kind of thing. The same genetics cause them. I get it from both sides of my parents' families. So it's plantar fibromatosis and palmar fibromatosis. And what it does is in the foot, you can see that it forms this kind of lump right there in the arch of the foot, or several lumps. Sometimes you get cords along the tendons of your feet. Sometimes it contracts your toes. In the hands, it does the same thing. You get lumps initially in the palm area, and then they grow cords, and they can pull down your fingers, like you see in the picture of that individual. For me, my lump was, I had the bottom of my feet and my palms radiated, use it at the cancer center, and so it reduced the lump on my foot. And I have not yet had my fingers contract, but both my hands and my feet are very sensitive. They ache a lot. They're sensitive to cold. So what I've had to do as far as AT is concerned is that I had orthotics recommended, but I never have used them because they did a mapping of my feet. They made the orthotics. In the meantime, I had the radiation deal with the bottom of my feet. What you see me walking in right now are those boots that are on the right-hand side of my screen, and they have they're spring-loaded in the heels like the pair of shoes that are in the middle, so it makes it easier for me to walk. When I walk long distances, I do have a cane, but you know, when you have it in your hands and your feet, it's hard to lean on the cane because that hurts your hands. I have a couple of disability scooters for long distance walking. You see me, this is a Pride scooter that I'm racing my grandson, with my son pushing his stroller. This is the one that we've taken to the last few conferences. If you've seen us at the conferences, it comes apart in two pieces. And it's much, much lighter than that Pride scooter, but the Pride scooter is easier on my hands. I have to pad the handlebar of that Lexus Light scooter because the way it's designed, the front end jerks around a lot when I hit bumps, and that's not good for my hands. So I use a lot of pipe insulation to pad things in and around me all the time. This is something I developed, and I'm hoping to expand the development. This was a conference proposal that my granddaughter and I would make an LED light with conductive thread, and you can buy these LED light strips. But these are 3 LED lights on a glove cover because I often have to wear padded gloves to protect my hands. And I get people run over me in my disability scooter. And so this is designed to be able to let me raise my hand like you do when you're riding a bicycle, so people don't cut me off like often happens. So we're going to do the same thing and put a flag up the back of my scooter with my 7-year-old granddaughter with an LED light strip. For my hands, I had to give up a mouse 2 years ago. Even a simple mouse click is too much pain for me. I tried that roller ball at the top for a little while, but that didn't last very long because you still have to click it. What I've resorted to now is a trackpad. I did try something else. The picture's not very good. It's pretty dark, but this thing is called a Twiddler 3, and it is a full keyboard on a single hand item. But the trouble is my hands hurt, and I had trouble holding it. So I tried to adapt it by putting Velcro and sticking it to a glove, but it's got a pretty heavy learning. It's hard to learn how to do it and how to get used to it. And plus, one hand hurts and then the other hand hurts, so it's sort of like, I don't know, I'll probably give it to Kevin to learn. So what I'm using now is just the trackpad. I do use drag and dictate for whatever long typing I have to do, and I try to use it with navigation, but I wasn't very fond of that. Plus, when you're teaching on Zoom like I do, it's kind of hard to tell your cursor to move across the screen while you're trying to teach your class. I went to AT Makers and asked for some mouse suggestions, and they offered me a Tobii Eye Gaze. So I might try that out. I talked to the university a couple days ago, and maybe we'll see if we can get me an eye gaze and see if that would work for me to alleviate the wear and tear on my hands trying to use a mouse. For right now, what is the best thing for me is a Windows Surface or something else with a touch screen, because the touch screen alleviates some of the pain from the constant tapping of a trackpad. As far as reading is concerned, it's hard for me to hold a book, so I have a Voyager tablet that I am a member of Bookshare, and I download my books from there, and I read them through VoiceStream. I also have VoiceStream on an iPad, but I use the tablet more than I use the iPad. So I use Kindle, I use Amazon, and I also use my Surface with Kindle. And if I do have to use a book, if it's one that's so heavy that it's just too painful to hold, then I use some kind of a book holder. Writing is difficult for me. I can no longer grasp a pen. If I'm at a meeting, I don't let them assign me to take notes, because I can just about sign my name, and that's about the extent of it now. I'm supposed to supervise student teachers next year. I hope they don't mind or next semester. I hope they don't mind my Surface coming in with me and making a little bit of a tappy noise. So anyway, I have Dragon loaded on all of those. I did try some writing aids like you see on the right-hand side of the screen. They do work for me. They're not quite as painful, but they also slow down my writing, and it's not terrible. It's kind of hard to read it. I do use an Amazon Echo in the house. We set it up because I have trouble twisting. We have some antique lights, and those old twisty switches are tough for me. I cannot open a water bottle anymore. Anytime I have a pop or a soda or something, I have to use a device or hand it to Kevin to open. Kevin, by the way, is my husband, to open for me. I have lots of gloves. I carry a large purse with lots of gloves in them. The top one is a pair of bionic gloves. They are made by hand specialists that are designed to be protective. The middle ones are compression gloves. When my hands hurt a lot, it's helpful for me to put those arthritis compression gloves on. The bottom ones are for the kitchen. When I cut with a knife, it keeps me from cutting my hands. I switched in the kitchen to melamine plates that are lighter, and I switched my silverware. That silverware that's there has rounded surfaces on it, because a cheap fork or spoon that has a very sharp edge I can't use anymore. So I carry with me this set of baby silverware, and so if I go to a restaurant that has that cheap silverware, I pull out the baby set and use that. I replaced all my pots and pans with stuff with padded handles and as lightweight as I could find. For jar opening, like I said, I can't open jars anymore. I use these devices. This one opens cans for me. This one opens, this one opens jars for me. This one opens wine bottles for me, water bottles. I have a terrible time with pulls. I have a terrible time with hitting the buttons tonight too. So the Dokari ring puller is been a godsend, although there's still some of them that I'm not able to open. I pad everything. I can't push a grocery cart without padding. I can't use a canoe paddle without padding. So you can see my watering can here. I put some pipe insulation on the handle. This is what I use for carrying groceries. This is not my steering wheel, but I have a padding on my steering wheel. I replaced all of the jars, spice jars in the kitchen with something that has a lid that just pops off. I got new nail clippers that are easier to use. Everything I have, and I have a stapler in my office that's an easy stapler. All of my tools, I do jewelry making. Everything is padded, even my scissors, they all have these foam memory padded handles. Because my hands and my feet are sensitive to heat, I have heated boot liners. For the winter, I have heated glove liners that I often wear when I'm typing. And I also, frankly, have had to give up my wedding ring. So what you see right there is the ring, the kind of rings that I wear now, because at any point in time, some people can have their fingers contract in 6 weeks' time, and they end up having to have their rings cut off. So, and I can see growth. I just noticed it last weekend, going up towards my left index finger, and there's growth going up my left pinky finger. So who knows, before I might end up like that. I have growth growing up all the fingers of both of my hands. So usually it's just the bottom 2 fingers that for people who have this. If you ever watch the Caribbean, Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the actor Bill Nye, he also was on a series of movies where there was a retirement residency in India. He has both fingers that are like this. Both hands are like this. So these are the things that I use to make things work for me during my life. Thanks for inviting me tonight.